This video can be used to develop crystal ray vision that enables you to penetrate beneath the surface with your eyes. This is a longer format video designed for a specific audience, so I believe it deserves a brief introduction. The video is designed for prospectors or rock hounds seeking pocket-producing pegmatites in a granitic setting. So step number one, you need granite bedrock. If you don't know what granite looks like, that is a-okay. I got your back. All of these are samples of granite collected from right here in Pikes Peak Batholith of Colorado. And as you can see, there's tons of textural varieties known as facies of granite. So even though they all look pretty different, they're all granite based on their cooling evolutions. This is a pegmatite. We'll get into that in just a little bit when we go into graphic granite. This video can be used under the assumption that you have not received a tip-off from any friend that's a rockhound or prospector, no tip-off from Mendat, no mines in the area to check what commodities were mined. You have no clue about the area, but you're pioneering it anyways. That's what this video can be used for. It can also be used in places that are dug frequently. The earth gives you everything you need right on the surface, and I take you through all the steps, thinking out loud through every part of this video that will ultimately enable you to determine that this is a good spot to dig. The disclaimer is I spent 1.5 to 2 days prior to this day looking at other areas, pioneering. That's the name of the game here, pioneering areas. And I found evidence, everything that I see in this video, almost dug down, and it was a pegmatite, but it didn't produce pockets. It didn't produce euhedral crystals with terminations and faces. Finally, drop your expectations for basketball-sized feldspars and cucumber-sized smoky quartz crystals. This video is designed as a course to help you locate pocket-producing pegmatites regardless of the size. If you can locate small pockets, then you'll of course be able to locate larger pockets with the very same information. Let's attenuate our crystal ray vision and go wrangle some crystals.
New route, new day in Pike National Forest, and I'm wandering up a slope, but I see my first indicator of where I need to go. That's the first indication. You can see the change in color. It looks like there's absolutely quartz in that erosional pile, and it's near a ridgeline, which means it's trackable. And this is where it all begins. So I came across the valley, zigzagging up this slope. There's a ravine here, and also on the other side. And this quartz is showing some surface layer oxidation, which means, the oxygen fugacity of the pocket change, precipitating iron. And now we have surface of crystals rather than this being a fractured crystal. Also some other small indications, as well as combinations with feldspar. Just that was the first thing I wanted to mention, and it's worthy of mentioning, even that. It is translucent. Really love to see it. Means translucent means better conditions for pocket formation than would be with a completely opaque white piece of quartz that doesn't pass any light. Oh, we got a big block right here. Hello. See, okay, we have the iron. So there was pocket space, and then we also have terminations now. So definitive pocket space, and that's a thick block of quartz. So really excited to see this. I'm gonna spend some considerable amount of time here now. I'd estimate 30 minutes to completely assess this whole rolling hill and the next one over. And let's just keep it live for a sec, because it's already really interesting. We got a big vug with faces on the inside. Oh yeah. Pocket producing pegmatite is what we have, and that's what we're looking for the origin of now. And look at this, look at this. The translucency is increasing. I hadn't seen faces on any of those three, but that's okay. We do have another face, but translucent. We're just one valley over from where we just were. We already have more pieces right in front of us. It's all flowing this way, down into the valley. 1, 2, 3, 4 faces. I'm going to take it very slow and continue this pattern. Look at these signs. Faces. And when I go just above this, there is none more faces. So the roots are tilling up the ground beneath. No float, no big size rocks. And then we have the ravine that's filling with debris. So that is the beginning of the float. Right here is this one. That's been the largest one yet. I'd say that's every bit of 4 centimeters. We leave it and we look for more. More that's coming from that spot right here, right up in here. Vein may be going vertically along the ridge, or it's going horizontally crosswise, which would make sense because there's been other float along the slope going around that way. Next sign, just right here, right on the surface, we have quartz with transparency developing. Faces, good faces, happy faces. Nothing up above, assessed thoroughly. It's coming from here. All of this was concentrated right in this area. We'll start there. I'm working away the topsoil, and the pieces are large right underneath. This composition, and you look at the clay, look at the soil, it's getting more and more red. We want to see that iron when we're digging for a pocket, specifically a pocket. We got a graphic zone and vugs. Good.
What do I mean by graphic zone? Recognizing graphic granite texture is critical to developing your crystal ray vision. Here we have a sample of a pegmatite with host granite on the bottom, an intermediate layer of graphic granite here, and then pocketing pegmatite up top. The classic textbook example of graphic granite texture is this cuneiform type texture where we have enlargement and definition of crystals as they compete for available space, emerging into the pegmatite. Some more vague examples, which is why I really want to show this, all the variety. Each sample is from a separate pocket I've prospected. I always grab a piece of the pegmatite and host granite. So pegmatite here, quartz, feldspar, and biotite. And at the bottom, we have regular granite to about here. And then graphic all the way throughout this zone. And then pegmatite from the top. This crystal actually came from this pegmatite as well, where we can see graphic texture in the bottom. The incorporation of quartz into it as defined crystals, but not with available space. Aplite, we're not going to get into that for this video, but graphic granite here and then pegmatite here. This is actually from this video that we're watching right now, and there is a graphic section on the bottom. Vugs on the top, feldspar, graphic on the bottom. So the importance of this and just me running you through this is so you can see all the graphic granite zones and know what to look for. So pocket up top, granite here, and then graphic zone in this section about the width of my thumb. Other examples, pocket, graphic, and granite on the bottom. Now to this sequence, we have a dance party of single ladies in the middle because that's where the party's at, in a pocket. And then we have combos of quartz and feldspar, and then this is the pegmatite attached to the graphic zone. I wouldn't even call that a graphic texture, that's just purely pegmatite. But
This was all collected from the same pocket in Park County, and this was attached like that, something like that, because we have the graphic texture here. Another example, this is entirely graphic on the bottom as well. And yeah, let's get back to the video.
We got a graphic, zone, and vugs. Good. Goodness, look at that. And there we are. First terminated crystal. But yeah, just look at the composition here and look at it here. Look at all those mica flakes in there. These are all wonderful things. Beauty, beauty, goldspar. Look at all of that. Dark clay. I can't say right now how much this will pocket, but yeah, it all may be small crystals, and this may be the heart of it. But we did see that big crystal come from here. That means that there's still ultimate potential for it to widen. Graphic. Goodies. These are goodies. I started digging here. We have red there, you can see. Showing euhedral forms. We got small clay pockets. This just came out. Good size. Now we got a vein that we're tracking. Which would make sense because based on the very most introductory evidence of assessing the slope, finding float on the other side of that linear trajectory. If the vein is trending like this, based on the theory, then we should be able to peel this back. Let's see what we got going on in here. Let's dig it out a bit more. Good. Very good. Look at all that. Oh, mommy. I was gonna say, look at all that clay. Yeah, correspondence. I don't know if me looking over that showed in the video, but it tumbled away. These have been larger than anything found on the surface. Yep. And then this one right after it. This is where we switch to softer tools. Yeah, okay, so through the middle of the tree. That was from right here. Okay, más. Right here, this is the good stuff.
Hi. 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 Feldspar, what's up? Long time no see. Look at the way that they're all just so neatly organized in there. Just that one little sphere. Right here. You can feel the clay when you're working in it. Everything, rather than like scratches loose, it like, boop. That's how it feels. The audacity of it. This tree grew direct right down onto the pocket. Opposite. Let's see how things evolve. First crystals on this area, which we notice the clay. So indication of pockets. And then these up here, all in this zone, right in line with this, going between the two trees. And this is a pocket producing pegmatite. So let's go find a bigger one. And the backfill first. Always a backfill before moving on. Looks pretty good. Backfilled enough for now. So following that this way, this is my chosen direction. Look what we find. It is no coincidence that the next stump also has a pile of quartz at its base. Let's investigate. That's quartz beginning to take shape. Quartz at the bottom. Quartz, quartz. Nice, lustrous face. Look at all of this mica. That means there was space unoccupied after the formation of the quartz and the feldspar. It's gold everywhere. Looking good. I'm just waiting for a crystal to pop out. Like, it's that time of night. All the conditions are right. Yeah, there is gonna be a crystal in here. Do you see how red that is? It's like pink. I can smell them a little deeper, and this one. But I'm surprised by why all the mica is up here. I think we're too low. Faces, faces, faces. All the good things seem to be coming from this direction. Decomp, and then quartz layer above with mica. I was on the pegmatite and kept following it at this location, but it never pocketed into well-developed crystals. All I was getting was 1 to 2 faces on smoky quartz and microcline, so we move on. Which brings me to a good point. When you are tracking pocket-producing pegmatites in a new area by way of float indicators on the surface, do you ever wonder, when is this float not good enough to pursue and start digging? That's what we address in this next segment. When is the float not good enough? Yum yums. I have been ridge hopping over and over and over ridges, and now we get to an unvegetated slope with some quartz float. Let's go check it out. Looking very good. Good separation. Feldspar fossils. Imprints. We will continue up. Vugs as well. Good looking, consistent composition of the feldspar. We are on the ridgeline now. The other piece was just below that tree
Wow, here we go.
Healthy, large peg. That is so beautiful. Tons and tons of float. This whole ridgeline is covered in this. Really, really milky. But we have iron. Some. I mean, it's not clean, but that is a quartz crystal. Look how beautiful. This spot absolutely getting mapped.
Yeah, mapped, but not dug immediately. We need to see better signs on the surface before we begin digging. I spent about an hour at this location. I showed all the best indicators, and there was no development of transparency or even translucency at this spot. So we're going to move on. And going back down the hill, I do show a piece of quartz that I found. It does have a good face on it, and it is translucent. This would be a much better example for where I would dig. So I mapped it. We'll dig it later.
So beautiful that is.
But for now, we're going to head back to the original pocketing pegmatite location, remove that stump, and follow the vein to see if it's producing any more crystals.
Oh wow, check it out. This whole thing is loose. I think I'm just going to move it over there.
And now we can assess the layers. The pocket was perfectly intact right here.
This one was loosely consolidated in the top. In this stuff.
Following the projected trend of the pegmatite that we determined in the beginning of this video, I continued left towards the small valley, and in the top 16 centimeters of topsoil, loosely consolidated, were mini crystals, in which I'm showing right now. And then as I continued beneath these, evidence of the actual pegmatite reemerged.
They're getting clean. We located the vein all the way on the left side. And it looks thicker over here. We have faces. Check it. Good. This stuff is lustrous. Warming up over here.
Oy, oy, oy. The soil is feeling different. Good, very good. And look what was attached.
All throughout this. This one just tumbled out, and it's very unique that the luster and transparency are a lot higher. The rest are just randomly spaced.
Okay. This single lady silent disco set up dispersed camping style in the topsoil was really confusing to me, but I think I've arrived at a conclusion. That is, the pegmatite verified pinches and swells over a short distance. In one of those places where it swells, it pocketed, but being that it was close to the surface, as all these loose crystals were found, the rock decomposed due to entropy. Rock has high entropy, high disorder. Crystals are very orderly, low entropy. So they remain, and the rock decomposes. So the crystals are left after the rock is gone. This is why we're left with the crystals without any hint of what the origin was. And then as I got deeper, that pegmatite, graphic granite, and pegmatite pocketing textures became evident.
Let me just show you. That's all granite below. The pegmatite is running like this. It's very hard to see unless you've been here working it. It pinches into nothing here. The clay, heavy clay included crystals came from up there. Down here, some clean quartz crystals came from, but they were all jumbled. None of them I felt sure about the origin with. Now, you can see there are some
like kind of laminations. There was a little quartz in there, and then up here you can see there is some presence of quartz left, but just not really a lot to work with here. And then, so you can see there's quartz. It's a very graphic-y granite.
Reclamation is done. Here's by the yucca, and then there is the longer one right up to the 2 trees. Let's go find a new place to prospect.
All right, here we are. Not too much to say, actually, because it's been said in this very wordy video. Hopefully it was informative, though. All of these crystals came from the same pegmatite. That's one point that I do want to emphasize. All of this was one pocket. That was the first actual pocket discovered. And then this, the second pocket discovered, which was 1 meter, began 1 meter to the left of this pocket. So just because you found the pocket on the pegmatite doesn't mean that is the pocket. There could be multiple. And then I did travel all the way over to this other ridge over here and found it was pocketing again. Nothing over there was collectible. However, there is this piece which came from a separate pegmatite. This was within, I would say, 5 meters away from this. And it was the next vein up the slope. So I did collect that there. This was near a yucca plant.
Here's by the yucca.
In this area. So, you know, big point there. Like, yeah, you got one pegmatite and you got multiple pockets on that pegmatite, but you also have other pegmatite potential in the area. This was a smaller pegmatite. That was the best specimen that came from it. Other than that, we have these that also did come from it. Mostly fragments. These are some other ones that came from this top pocket. And this one I did polish just to see what we're working with under the hood, and really good clarity. These are healed, actually. I'll show you a few examples. Some of them, only 3 actually. So that one's totally healed on the back. And then this totally healed little castle on the back side as well. And then one more, this one. Yeah, so not very complex histories, these crystals, but semi-complex. Also, 1, 2, and 3 did come from the very initial vein, which was separate from this one. So many pockets on one pegmatite. I think this is my favorite piece. It's like it has some buttons. One interesting thing that I want to point out is about the chemistry of these pockets. We can tell that they are both of different chemistry. These have less iron. Can you tell? And there's luster on the quartz. And these microclines are pink, whereas these are white. I can't say if they're orthoclase or not, but one thing I do know about feldspar is that in potassium feldspar, they have a higher availability for iron to bind in their structure. That's why we get pink microcline. It owes its color to the iron. Whereas with albite or orthoclase, when you substitute that potassium in the feldspar for a sodium in albite or orthoclase, then you have less available space for iron to bind. That's why you typically see those minerals not so much have a red color. And from this section, there were a few more crystals. That was one prominent piece, a single lady that we found right on the surface. I honestly think she looked better with the dirt on her face, but that's okay. We arrived on the slope, we found the float, we located the pegmatite, and we noticed that it had a specific trend direction. By digging along that direction, even though the pegmatite didn't even exist in places, we discovered the musical notes of that pegmatite. I hope this video was helpful for maximizing the capacity of your crystal ray vision, wielding to the fullest power your crystal scepter, and discovering the ancient secrets that lie within the earth.